Okay, welcome everybody to our event today on increasing support systems for families and their children with Down syndrome. My name is Stefano Gennarini from the Center for Family and Human Rights, and it is my pleasure today to moderate a very exciting panel discussion. We want to thank in the outset the Permanent Mission of Djibouti for hosting this event on this very important topic ahead of the World Down Syndrome Day. We're also very grateful to the delegation of Djibouti here at the United Nations for their pro-life and pro-family positions in many different forums and conferences throughout the year. We also want to acknowledge CFAM, the Center for Family and Human Rights, who organized this event, as well as the Global Down Syndrome Foundation, who is co-hosting. This year's theme for International Down Syndrome Awareness Day is Improve Our Support Systems. Persons with Down syndrome and their families need support systems. Depending on available resources, governments can facilitate and provide a comprehensive range of support systems. These include specific medical and educational needs, but they also include less resource-intensive support systems like parent support groups, earlier intervention systems, helplines, opportunities for recreation, cooperative education options, as well as public awareness campaigns, and many others. In all of these, the family of persons with Down syndrome is essential. The family is a key element of support systems to empower persons with Down syndrome, as was recognized in Human Rights Council Resolution 3223 on protection of the family and persons with disabilities. Government should ensure that families with members with disabilities have access to a comprehensive range of support services that are responsive to the choices, wishes, and needs of its members with disabilities. Lack of support systems for families of persons with Down syndrome, lack of accurate information, misconceptions, and lack of social support contribute to discriminatory attitudes and negative social norms that target persons with Down syndrome. This, in turn, results in an ever-increasing number of children with disabilities being aborted before birth. According to some estimates, over 90% of children diagnosed with Down syndrome in the womb are aborted worldwide. In some developed countries, where prenatal screening is enshrined in public policy, the abortion rate is closer to 100. The family is the first and most immediate environment where children with Down syndrome can develop their potential and enjoy a fulfilling life. As the fundamental group unit of society and the natural environment for the growth and well-being of all its members, and particularly children, the family should be afforded the necessary protection and assistance so that it can fully assume its responsibilities within the community. Our panelists today are advocates for persons with Down syndrome and leaders of organizations that help break barriers for persons with Down syndrome and help develop support systems for persons with Down syndrome. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce our first panelist today, Tanya Falugi Ekedzie. Tanya is a wife, mother, and entrepreneur based in Lagos, Nigeria. Inspired by her daughter Simone's battle with heart complications and a late Down syndrome diagnosis, she became a passionate special needs advocate. Tanya is a children's book author and podcaster with a background in TV and film production. She is playing a unique role in raising awareness about Down syndrome in Africa through art. She founded the Simone Oasis Foundation and is a founding member of the Association of Children's Authors and Illustrators of Nigeria. She has been recognized by the American Express Leadership Academy, as well as the Guardian UK, for her contributions to the nonprofit sector. Tanya, welcome. You have the floor.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Thank you. I don't know what to say after that. Doesn't sound like me, but hey, I'm really glad to be here. Like Stefano says, I'm the founder of Simone's Oasis Foundation, and we use storytelling to raise awareness and advocate for children with Down syndrome, autism, and other disabilities in Nigeria. So how am I here with you guys today is because the story is personal. I have a daughter, Simone, and at 4.5 months, she was diagnosed with Down syndrome, which came as a surprise because I had her in America. They didn't catch it there. We passed through London. They didn't catch it there. And it was in Nigeria they actually picked up on the Down syndrome. And pretty soon thereafter, she was diagnosed with heart failure. The delay had caused massive damage to her heart, and she was given 6 months to live. Because they were not able to attend to her needs in Nigeria, we had to kind of dash back to the States, and she had open heart surgery at 6 months at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. Now, what should have been 3 months recovery was almost 3 years, a battle. But in that time, because of the support system that exists here in America, we were able to have access to all the therapies, everything you could think of. And I was having the possibility to actually learn from the therapists. And to be honest, I don't think I would be here today if we didn't have that access. Why? Well, when we got the chance to at least go to the UK, the NHS was a whole different ballgame. So we were used to getting all this stuff, and then we get to England, and it took a year for us to access any interventions. And at that age, and during the early intervention years, access to interventions are key to learning, key to progress. And unfortunately, it took a year. And in that year, I had to kind of apply everything I had learned in the States and start looking for charity groups where we could access the support that we needed. And we were blessed to find charities like Downright Excellent, Westminster Participation Group. And that was the first time I had met any other families that had Down syndrome. I had never met any. And let me also tell you something. My daughter was the first Black person with Down syndrome I had ever seen. I didn't even know Black people got Down syndrome, and I'm an educated person. I'd never seen a person in real life. I'd never seen a person on TV that was Black with Down syndrome. So I had nothing to work with in that. And it made me think, oh my goodness, this is crazy. How could I be an educated person and not know that Black people get Down syndrome? Now, almost 3 years after the surgery, we were able to move back to Nigeria, finally given the news that Simone's heart was healthy, she didn't have to be on medications anymore, and we went back to Nigeria. And it was like God was preparing me for what I was going to meet, because here we're talking about improving support systems. Those support systems do not exist. They just do not exist. And the ones that do, you might maybe get, therapy, speech or something from the government maybe once every 6 months. And that's not really going to do anything. Then there may be a handful of speech therapists in the entire country. So what was I going to do in the meantime? How was I going to help my daughter? I realized I had to build that support system myself. So taking that knowledge I had learned, the blessing of being able to travel and learn those past few years, and being able to apply that in my house, but understanding that this is a journey you cannot do on your own. One thing I would say is that I'm not someone who was ever ashamed of my daughter. I believe the Down syndrome and her, I wear it as a badge of honor. God has given me this duty, and I will show up and do my best. So with that, I realized, okay, I have to talk to other people. Who are the therapists on ground? Who are people I can talk to that I can learn from? Who are the people I can share my journey so I can teach them? So everybody that's involved in my daughter's life is the support system, and I need to carry them along every step of the way. And in the culture of Nigeria, that means speaking up. And I know my African people here with me know that. People don't talk about this. It's shame. It's a stigma. It's a result of sin. Your village people have cursed you. Oh, if they sit next to you, they'll catch the Down syndrome. So those are the kind of things we are actually dealing with, and why it's important for someone like me to speak up and show out and keep talking, because someone is going to hear that. And without those support systems in place, it is us parents, it is the families, it's the educators, it's those who are involved with the caregiving of these children who are the support system. So I decided to look at things, a little different and say, okay, I'm learning. Everything I've done is because of the need I have. But realizing that other people are walking this journey. They may not have the knowledge I have, but they have the will. How am I going to get people to understand and make space, rightful space for my child? How am I going to get schools to accept us? You know, how am I going to get people not to say, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, she's doing well for someone with Down syndrome. What does that even mean? So I said, you know what? My background previously, before getting married, was in TV and film production. So we're going to tell a story. And it really began with a conversation with my son. You can see my beautiful kids there, Ugo and Simsim. I'm not that creative. I didn't change the names. But the fact is that storytelling is really powerful. And stories are universal. Human beings, we are more alike than not. So when my son was asking questions, and I did a rubbish job of explaining to him what Down syndrome was, I thought, you know what, I'm going to redeem myself. I'm going to write a story of that conversation and how that would be. And it was a real eye-opener to see how well it was accepted with families, but how much it was rejected with publishers, how much it was rejected with retail outlets, because they literally said to me, why would we promote an abomination? And I know my child is not an abomination. My child is God-given. My child is heaven-sent. Anybody that experienced someone with Down syndrome in their lives knows exactly what I'm talking about. People with Down syndrome are light. And so I want to make sure everybody on this earth understands and receives that light, receives that blessings, makes space for our wonderful children. So I targeted children, because children are the most open, and children will do the advocacy work for you in their homes. Parents want their children to read, so sharing stories. So initially, we are not the ones who automatically read. Reading is a learnt skill. It's not a natural skill. And so parents have to be involved. So when parents are reading these books to their children, they're learning by default. And it's quite funny, unfortunately, well, fortunately, is that children get to be a bit obsessed with the books. And I get messages like, oh, please, when's your next book? Because I've been reading this book to my child for like 3 years nonstop. But it's doing the work for me. It's better than the sledgehammer. It's better than the preaching. Stories mean understanding. Stories mean universal understanding. And so that's how we have formed this kind of creative arts space. And the creative arts have been really a key to unlocking my own daughter's potential. Last weekend, we held our first foundation event. She was a solo artist for the event, and our aim was to raise money to continue to do the work we do and to continue to help other families and kids. Currently, we support about 100 kids and their families. And when I say support, we are not aiming for them to be dependent on us. We want them to understand there can be and there is a low barrier to entry to help through the creative process, through the artistic process. So for Simone, it's helped her with her speech and language. It's helped her with her social skills. It's helped her with her fine motor skills. And all you need is a pen and paper. You can get more stuff if you need to, but it's just that understanding. We think all this high-level stuff, and are just trying to bring it down to say, hey, no, just start with whatever you have at home. Just start 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, and you will see the difference in your child. Now, and because creative arts is something that all kids can do, it means that we are telling and engaging neurotypical children as well. And that, I was explaining to Misty here earlier, is that my daughter's best friend is actually a neurotypical girl. And it's a 50-50 relationship. So imagine these children growing up with people with Down syndrome in their lives, in their schools, in their workplace, and it's not a big deal. And it shouldn't be a big deal. It should be automatic. My daughter should be able to be in those rooms with neurotypical children and grow up to be in those rooms with neurotypical adults and be at the decision-making table and be the policy maker and have her voice, have the ability to use her voice, lend her voice to the decisions that are being made for her life, because she is genuinely a capable person and deserves that right to be included. And so growing up with them, it's just a natural thing that will happen because we're aiming to educate these children in inclusive life being completely and utterly inclusive. So today is a very interesting day because I'm here with you today, but simultaneously there's a project that we're launching in London called the Black Child Down Syndrome Project. Like I said, my daughter was the first Black person with Down syndrome I had ever seen. And it's been quite an interesting process because in Nigeria, you're not dealing with race, you're dealing with the issues of culture. But once you enter the UK, once you enter the US, you are dealing with issues of race. The structures are not built for people who look like us. They're not built for our nuances of our Afro-Caribbean community. And at the same time, within the community, you're dealing with stigmas, you're dealing with prejudices. So how can you even say to someone, go and access that, if they're ashamed to come out and access it? Do you understand? How can you feel comfortable in a system that doesn't take into account your nuances of your culture and your tradition? So firstly, people just need to see us. They just need to see us. They need to know that we exist. They need to know that we are here. And so last year, I was on Instagram, as you do, scrolling through, and there was this beautiful photo shoot of children with Down syndrome, and they were dressed up like 1920s, 30s page boys. And while it was beautiful, it was a kind of a punch to the gut because there was no child of color. Now, you cannot tell me in the UK that they couldn't find a child of color to include in that photo shoot. And it might not have been purposeful. It just didn't even cross their minds. So this conversation happened in the comments sections, and we kind of took it offline. And then I said, you know what? Hold that thought. I'm going to call somebody. And so I called somebody. And the person I called was Miss Anne Harriman. And I don't know if you know him. Last year, he was nominated for an Oscar. And he's a world-renowned photographer, but more than that, he's an activist in the area of race and an activist for children. And before I even said anything, 10 seconds in, he's like, I'm in. So last summer, we came together, and we shot 9 children. I can't show you everything yet, but it's launching today, which is so exciting, in London, and I'm missing it. I'm here. But he captured the beauty. He captured the essence. He captured the light. He captured their humanity. And I'm just so, so proud to be part of this and to share it with you here for the first time. And that's my daughter, Simone. So that's my why. Pedomac, he is a beatboxer. And then Abigail. But the most amazing thing is that we came together for one day in Holland Park in London as a community. And for many, it was the first time they had connected to other Black families or had even spoke openly about their experiences. And so we were also able to capture interviews as well. Friendships were made. Siblings of Down syndrome siblings were able to connect, and they stayed in touch since that day. Care and support. To be understood without speaking. To be heard without judgment. And it was a real, real gift. And so, you know, our mission is really about, at Simone's Oasis, about telling people that representation matters. It really does matter. It matters to change, it matters to access, it matters to the livelihoods of these children and their families. We want to thrive, not just survive. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. Our next panelist is Gigi Gianni. Gigi has been inspiring others since birth in 2002. Born with Down syndrome, Gigi is the namesake and chief inspiration officer of Gigi's Playhouse, Down Syndrome Achievement Centers. She is the youngest of 4 kids and loves fashion, fitness, dancing, fun, and of course, her boyfriend, Lucas. She is an author, motivational speaker, influencer, advocate, and accomplished singer. Gigi has performed the national anthem at numerous live events including her hometown Chicago Cubs, don't hold that against her, and a country concert with Scotty McCreery. And Gigi continues to break barriers and inspire others to embrace who they are and pursue their dreams. Gigi, welcome. You have the floor.
Good morning. My name is Gigi. Sorry.
Closer here.
Good morning. My name is Didi Gianni. I'm so happy to be here today. I stand before you as a strong and independent woman with Down syndrome. Not as Pablo, not as someone to feel sorry for, but as a person with full life, big dreams, and so much love to give. But I know that everyone sees me the way. I got it. There are people who believe that babies like me should not be born. That Down syndrome is something bad, something that needs to go away. They think my life is not as valuable as others. But I'm here today to tell you the truth. My life does have value. And not just my life, all lives, including people with disabilities, are important. I want to ask you a question. What kind of world do you want to live in? Do you want a world where people are only accepted if they're perfect? Where children with differences are not given a chance? Or do we want a world that chooses love over fear, that sees the good in every person and understands that every life has purpose? I know what kind of world I want. I want a world that welcomes people like me. Some people might say, but Gigi, life with disability is hard. And yes, there are challenges, but guess what? Life is hard for everyone. We all struggle in different ways. That does not mean someone whose lives is not worth living. That does not mean we should decide who gets to born and who doesn't. I have hard days just like everyone else, but my life is beautiful. I have a boyfriend, Lucas. I call him my work man because he's hardworking and strong. He treats me with love and respect, and we have so much fun together. Lucas doesn't see my Down syndrome as something bad. He sees me as Gigi, his girlfriend. He sees my heart. He loves me for who I am. Is it what we all want to be loved, who we are? And speaking of love, I would tell you about Hugo, my dog. Hugo is a pit bull. A lot of people judge him because before they even get to know him, they think he's scary just because of his breed. But Hugo is the sweetest, most loving dog you ever met. He loves to cuddle, he loves to play, and he loves me. People judge Hugo the same way they judge me, without knowing who we really are. They see label, they see something they don't understand. But if they just took the time to look past, they will see how much we love to give. That is why I'm here today to ask the world to see past the labels. Many doctors tell the parents that a baby like me will suffer. That baby like me will never for life. That the best choice is to end the pregnancy. That's not fair. It's not right. Doctors should be giving parents hope, not fear. They should be telling them about people like me, people who love deeply, who dream big, live with joy. People who just like Hugo have so much to give, only are given a chance. So today here to say, please stop telling the world that people like me do not exist. Please stop telling the parents that their child life is not viable. Please stop treating Down syndrome like a mistake, because I'm not a mistake. I'm a daughter, I'm a friend, I'm a leader, I'm Luca's girlfriend, I'm Hugo's best friend, and a woman, I'm a woman with big dreams. And I prove that every single life, no matter what challenges come with it, is life worth living. In addition to all these things, I'm also the inspiration of today's Playhouse, the only network of Down syndrome achievement centers. Now I'd like to give you a deeper look at my life and my story. Yeah. But when I was born, my mom made me promise that I was going to change the way the world saw me and my friends with Down syndrome. That's when DJ's Player was born. When my mom first started DJ's Playhouse, we needed a logo. My big brother Falco took care of that. He was 6 years old and loved me so much. He wanted to make sure I had friends, so he made the logo about love and holding hands. We are older now, but I still love my brother so much. He's my favorite. I also have two sisters, Bella and Romy. That's my dog right there. And of course, here's Hugo. He's the best dog ever and loves me so much. When I was 1 year old, my mom was trying to open the first digit location. She used my first birthday as a fundraiser. I'm glad I don't remember that. She took all of my presents. Thanks to her. 3 months later, it was October 2000 Awareness Month. We celebrated it by opening the first day's Playhouse. I don't remember much, but everyone said I was so cute. I have come a long way since the first Playhouse to SDGs. Today, we have opened 61 Disney's Playhouse locations and serve families in 93 countries. I have been to every Disney's Playhouse. I love to inspire the families and all other babies. I'm the baby whisperer. Mom gets jealous every time. I have traveled all over, spread inspiration and love where I go. I have been on national TV shows and new outlets. I'm very excited to see where my travels will take me next. I also travel to sing the national anthem. I sing the national anthem at the Cubs game in front of 40,000 people. I was not nervous, but Mom was.
I was very nervous.
I love singing the national anthem. I also sing White Sox game and country concert with Scotty McCreery. When I'm not traveling, I'm working at the National Playhouse. I also have been into these Playhouse programs in my whole life. Can you do it? In fact, my music tutor wrote a book. It's called The Gigi Way. And more books are coming. I'm in the newest book in her series. It's called A Gigi's A Journey, and it just launched today. In the book, I'm an 8th grader who's brave, kind, and loves to sing. It's a magical book. It's all about adventure and celebrating everyone's differences.
Favorite part.
It is. But when but when I read in the books, I'm living full and complete life. You already heard about my boyfriend, Lucas. He's so awesome and supportive. I'm starting my new business, and Lucas could be my driver. I also have my very own podcast. It's called L7 Extra. I got to meet and interview amazing people who are helping to change the world. And I even give tips on how on how to help others. You can find my tips in viral videos on my social media. I got it. These are just a few things I've done and working on, but I was getting started. As DG's Playhouse has grown throughout the years, so have I. And like DG's Playhouse, I plan to continue to change the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Gigi. Thank you, Gigi. That was very inspiring. Our next panelist is Nancy Gianni. Nancy Gianni is the founder and chief belief officer of Gigi's Playhouse. She is Gigi's mother. When she received the diagnosis that Gigi had Down syndrome, the negative reactions of the medical staff and her fears overwhelmed her. But Nancy soon realized that Gigi could do the very same things that her other children do. Nancy now leads the only international network of Down syndrome achievement centers in 61 locations across the U.S. and Mexico. Nancy is also an author and motivational speaker. She is the founder of the Generation G, a human rights movement aimed to change how society views all disabilities and make the world a more generous, kind, and accepting place for all. Nancy, welcome. You have the floor. You have to press the button.
Oh my goodness. She had me going there. I'm sweating over here. Just seeing her come to this point and speaking for herself means everything to me, and I appreciate the kindness of everyone who's here today and took the time to listen to her. I'm so proud of you. Thank you to CFAM, the United Nations, and everyone who is here today. And thank you to Gigi for sharing your story and telling the world why you belong here. 22 years ago, when my daughter Gigi was born, I had no idea she was going to change the world. But actually, when I look back on it, God had given me many signs that she would indeed change the world. Before I found out I was pregnant with Gigi, I became extremely outspoken, to the point of almost losing a client for my husband and friends for myself. I wondered why I was on this moral high horse and why I thought I deserved to be there. Then I found out I was pregnant. Excitedly, I remember thinking, oh my gosh, this child already has a voice. My baby is going to change the world. I remember telling my husband, this baby's going to be the president or a world leader. She is already morally present and making me stand up for what is right from the womb. I guess I should not have been surprised when she was born with Down syndrome. At her birth, I was blindsided by her Down syndrome diagnosis and petrified for my family. The celebration was gone, and I was met with only condolences. They took good care of me medically, but they didn't have eye contact with me anymore, and they kept sending in the clergy. At one point, I asked if she was going to die, because that is what their reactions felt like. My biggest fear was, how would I explain this new life, this negativity about their beautiful sister, to my other kids? Once we got home and started living this new life, we saw that she was more like my other kids than she was different, and we wanted her celebrated. We wanted to take away the negativity of a Down syndrome diagnosis and show the world the tremendous potential individuals with Down syndrome had. But how would I do that? Then came the promise. When Gigi was 6 months old, I was carrying her to bed one night, and I could feel the weight of her low muscle tone, a weight she carries around every day, but you would never know existed due to her never-ending determination and the constant smile on her face. As I laid her in the crib, I made a promise to her that I would change the way the world saw her and all of her friends with Down syndrome, that I would help people see that they were so much more than just a diagnosis. That was it. I made the promise, and now I had to make it happen. I searched for a place to do that and realized it didn't exist and that I was going to have to build it. That is when Gigi's Playhouse was born. Gigi was only a few months old and fresh out of open heart surgery. I remember working tirelessly to overcome every obstacle put in front of me, only to be afraid to open our doors. Was the world ready for us? Who was going to come? I knew my mom and my dad would show up and possibly some neighbors, but I never imagined over 1,000 other people were also looking for the change I was trying to create. I wanted to create a place for families that I didn't have when Gigi was born, a place full of hope and empowerment, a place where Gigi and her friends would be celebrated and where my other kids in the community could learn about Down syndrome in a positive way, a place where a scared new mom, a grandma, or a family can go to find hope, to find tools, resources, free programs, and other people who were just like them, where families can be together so they can feel like they belong in a world that felt as if it wasn't meant for them. A place in the community that celebrated differences and didn't hide them away from the world. Fast forward 21 years, and today we have 66 Gigi's Playhouse locations and startups throughout the United States and Mexico, providing hope, free programs, and empowerment. We serve both inner cities and rural areas. Our online virtual playhouse now is serving families in 93 countries across the world, and we are doing, thanks. And we are doing one-on-one tutoring in literacy and math on 6 continents. We have hundreds of inquiries to open more Gigi's locations worldwide. Today, we facilitate over 6,500 hours a week of free therapeutic and educational programming to our participants. That is over 340,000 free program hours a year. Thank you. Everything from free one-on-one tutoring in literacy and math, free speech therapy and physical therapy-based fitness programs, social emotional, nutrition, and career programs. Gigi's is here for our families every step of the way. From prenatal diagnosis through career skills, we make a lifetime commitment to our families. I think what I'm most proud of is that 21 years later, Gigi still operates like an entrepreneurial startup. We are a $37 million not-for-profit that gives everything away for free. Every consultant said it couldn't be done, but we're doing it every day. Thank you, God. That's a God thing. Also, we receive no government funding. All of our work is funded by private donors. Clearly, a higher power is guiding Gigi's Playhouse mission. And Gigi and I are literally blessed to be sitting in the driver's seat saying, God, where are you taking us today? And today we're at the United Nations, so look at that. Woo! People with disability are the largest marginalized group in the world, but have the smallest voices. This is where we all need to step up. We need to give them a voice and show the world the army of people who support and protect them. Every single one of us is seconds away from being different or loving someone who's different. It could happen with a simple fall off of a bike, the birth of a new baby or grandbaby, or a debilitating illness. Differences do not discriminate, and they truly are seconds away. Don't we want to live in a world that accepts us all? Down syndrome is not a disease and there is no cure. It is not going away. In fact, right now, we are living amongst the first generation of individuals with Down syndrome living to retirement age. Retirement age, in the 80s, it was only 25. They're now living to retirement age. But by the age of 54, 90% of them will get Alzheimer's. 90%. We need to keep their brains and their bodies active, and that is exactly what Gigi's does, and it's why our programs are so important. Our Gigi University philosophy of confident you, healthy you, whole you is changing lives and saving lives every day and leading our adults on a path to independence. Gigi's has spent 21 years getting our kids ready for the world. Now we need to get the world ready for them. Today, our kids are still segregated in their schools, innocent victims of abuse, bullied, not eligible for organ transplants, and many are not even able to be born. Unlike other groups, our children have no protection under the laws against discrimination and hate crimes. Currently, these crimes must be based on race, religion, ethnicity, nationality, gender, sexual orientation, or gender identity. They cannot be based on a person's disability. Why not? We need to change that. Let's give a voice to the people who have the most to teach us in life. Thank you. I remember last fall, the Sunday that Gigi and I returned home from the opening of our 60th location in Simi Valley, California. I was on a high after seeing hundreds of families find their new home in Gigi's Playhouse, Simi Valley. Plus, I got home early enough to spend some time with my other kids, and of course, Gigi had to make up for her missed date night, and she went out bowling with Lucas. While finally relaxing and sitting at the dinner table, I got a text from Gigi saying the boys in the lane next to us are calling us retards and making fun of us. My heart sank. Not 24 hours ago, we opened the 60th Gigi's Playhouse location, and this hate and bullying is still happening. It's days like that when I think this is just too much for me, that I want to give up or just take a break. And then I remember that Gigi does not get to take a break from her diagnosis. No one does. People who are different cannot shed that differentness at the end of the day. They must struggle constantly for acceptance, and that is why I will never stop fighting for them. That is why Gigi's Playhouse fights for them, and I'm so grateful everybody in this room is fighting for them. But try as we might, there's a new fight. It is a fight against intolerance. A learned intolerance brought on by designer babies and countries who continue to try to eradicate Down syndrome, to simply not allow our kids to be born. With actions like this, the newer generations often think that people with disabilities don't have a right to be here, that they are disposable. With a 90% worldwide termination rate, you can see why people think this. These families are scared of the diagnosis and have outside influences who are telling them there is no value in our kids. I remember when one of our moms refused to terminate the pregnancy, her geneticist said to her, "I do not expect my dumb dog to come in from out of the rain. What do you expect this child to do?" Other families have been told, "This child will ruin your other kid's life." How ironic, because I could not have made my other kids the amazing people they are today without Gigi. Most families are given no hope, and some are told their kids will never walk, talk, or even live a normal life. And that's today. This is still happening. Though I have to say, some people in the medical community are really trying and sending positive messages. We even have med schools that do rotations at different Gigi's Playhouse locations. That is truly a gift from God, but we need more of that in our schools, our universities, our world. Last month, a 13-year-old sibling named Sarah Kate spoke at our national gala. She had recently learned about the abortion rate for mothers carrying a child with Down syndrome and wrote a report about it in school. She could not believe doctors do not want people like her sister to be born. Why? Why didn't they see the love and beauty of her amazing little sister? Why don't they provide hope? She said the world needs to see her sister's gifts and the gifts of people of all abilities. Gigi's Playhouse is a place where siblings like Sarah Kate can find their voice, a place for a pregnant mom who just found out her unborn child has Down syndrome, a place for a new parent who just received the diagnosis, a place for siblings to meet other siblings and know they are not alone, a place for a child to learn to read, to walk, to talk, a place for an adult to learn career skills, a place for volunteers of all ages to learn and grow, a place where corporate America could learn and teach the value of acceptance, a place where medical professionals can learn and gain perspective to fully understand the true value of a life, a place for sharing, a place for caring, a place for learning, a place to show the world we are here and we are proud. Gigi's Playhouse, it's a place to call home. And I'm blessed and honored to have told you all about Gigi's Playhouse today, to see how we can help anybody in any other countries. We're serving in 93 of the different countries, but we need to be doing more. Clearly, there's a lot more work to be done, and we're just here to say that we want to share our platform with you, and we want to truly continue to change the world for all these different places and these amazing people on this panel. So thank you guys all so much. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Nancy. I don't think there's a dry eye in the room here. Our next panelist is Deborah Fidler. She is a professor in the Department of Human Development and Family Studies at Colorado State University and director of the Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities Division of the CSU Prevention Research Center. She's also a faculty affiliate at the Linda Krennic Institute for Down Syndrome Research. Her research focuses on development in children with neurogenetic conditions associated with intellectual and developmental disability, with an emphasis on development in people with Down syndrome throughout the lifespan. Dr. Fiedler has served as editor of leading scholarly journals on disabilities and is founding co-director of the RAM Scholars Program. Deborah, welcome. You have the floor.
Thank you. It's really an honor to speak with you all today as we commemorate World Down Syndrome Day 2025. Thank you to CFAM and Lisa Carenti and the delegation of Djibouti for organizing this remarkable event. My name is Debbie Fiedler. I'm a professor in the Department of Human Development and Family Studies at Colorado State University, and I have dedicated my 25-year career to studying development in children and adults with Down syndrome and other neurogenetic conditions. And I am truly honored to celebrate the remarkable strides that we have made together as a field. Individuals with Down syndrome are not just living longer, they are thriving in ways that were once unimaginable. They're making their voices heard on Capitol Hill, boldly testifying before Congress and the United Nations, shining on Hollywood screens, pursuing higher education, and building successful businesses. Self-advocates are forging their own paths, crafting vibrant lives full of promise and possibility. In our 25 years of developmental research, my team has taken a whole lifespan approach that is built on the idea that the lives of people with Down syndrome are dynamic and ever-changing, and rigorous developmental science can help us find the right supports at the right time so that we can set the stage for well-being and meaningful participation in home, school, and community settings. By working with colleagues across disciplines and around the world, we have identified key targets for intervention, like the development of executive functioning. And together with biomedical and molecular scientists, we are tracing the earliest precursors to co-occurring conditions in Down syndrome like autism. All of our lifespan developmental work translates directly into innovative and tailored intervention approaches that are designed to strengthen skills for a lifetime. And what began as a core set of research questions that our team asked 25 years ago has grown into large collaborative efforts that generate new knowledge and treatments with real-world outcomes. But across this work, we have also learned that our most important collaborators are self-advocates and family members who teach us by sharing their experiences and insights with our team. And ultimately, our goal to provide the right interventions at the right time is only possible with a family support system that fosters and nurtures a child's developmental trajectory. And that's why we recognize on World Down Syndrome Day 2025 that support for people with Down syndrome means supporting their families too. And celebrating the potential of people with Down syndrome means honoring the resilience of their families. The central importance of families in the lives of people with Down syndrome was highlighted over 30 years ago when my mentor, Robert Hodap, now at Vanderbilt University, wrote about the indirect effects of neurodevelopmental conditions on the family unit. His decades of research since have shown that neurodevelopmental conditions like Down syndrome impact the development of the entire family. Families often experience increased day-to-day caregiving demands and additional stressors when they navigate unfamiliar biomedical, educational, and other service systems. And sometimes these experiences lead families to report some feelings of isolation, changes in employment pathways, role restriction, and concerns about the future. But another discovery from this line of research is equally important. Having a family member with a neurodevelopmental condition often creates the potential for greater rewardingness and meaning in the lifetime of a family. There's a growing literature from colleagues in the United Kingdom, led by the influential researcher Richard Hastings, suggesting that families of children with Down syndrome and other neurogenetic conditions often report unexpected benefits, including greater fulfillment, significant personal growth, enhanced maturity, and a richer capacity for empathy. And though family members can often report a sense of isolation, families often also describe engaging with their communities in ways that are profoundly uplifting. As a mom of an 18-year-old with a chromosome 6 neurogenetic condition, some of my most cherished moments happen as I sit in the high school bleachers with other moms, dads, siblings, grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins, cheering for our unified athletes and their peers on the basketball court. In those moments, we as families have the unique chance to witness spontaneous acts of genuine kindness among classmates, made possible through the tireless dedication of educators and coaches who model togetherness as a core value. These remarkable and unsung moments of grace enable family members like me to witness the inherent good in others and the capacity for compassion in the human condition. So on World Down Syndrome Day 2025, we must recognize that the journey towards healthy and fulfilling lives for people with Down syndrome and their families is interwoven with the fabric of our communities. And as we celebrate families today, we must also dedicate ourselves to strengthening support systems for families around the world. One critical way forward is to innovate in providing more advanced informational support to empower families, including more advanced knowledge about developmental and biomedical needs in Down syndrome and which treatments and interventions have been rigorously evaluated in well-designed clinical trials. With knowledge comes strength, and by equipping families with accurate informational support, educators, allied health providers, and organizations like Gigi's Playhouse and Global Down Syndrome Foundation can help families find pathways towards effective educational and therapeutic planning. We must continue to advocate for rigorous scientific research, and we must work harder to build systems for returning new scientific knowledge back to the community so that it can directly impact the health and well-being of people with Down syndrome and their families. Legal and financial support are also important sources of assistance for families. Parenting a child with a disability can sometimes require knowledge regarding a child's rights and legal access to education and services. And some parents don't have training and expertise in these areas and need to equip themselves with legal knowledge regarding local and national systems. Organizations that provide access to this knowledge can play a key role, and innovative programs are needed to reach more families in more places around the world to remove barriers to education and much-needed care. And psychological support can be a vital lifeline for families as well. We must build more tailored training pathways for therapeutic professionals to better understand the lives of families of children with disabilities and how best to support them. We must also continue to build innovative approaches to bringing families together to share their experiences and provide welcoming pathways to community engagement so that we can keep families connected to those who want to support them. But regardless of the type of support, as a field, we have come to understand that our efforts are most impactful when we abide by 3 specific guiding principles. First, families, like children, grow and change over time, and their support needs evolve throughout their journeys. Parents of infants with Down syndrome are often adjusting to new roles while navigating access to services and interventions. Families during the schooling years are focused on educational planning and collaboration with educators and oftentimes health professionals. And in adulthood, families often continue to support self-advocates in finding employment, residential supports, and community participation opportunities. And importantly, transitions between these stages can be filled with uncertainty. A key to our success in supporting families of people with Down syndrome lies in understanding that families grow, develop, and change over time, just like individuals do. Another guiding principle is the importance of a community-engaged approach to research and practice. Professionals, researchers, and family members more and more are working together as partners and co-creators of new knowledge and new programs. That means that when we begin a new research study or develop a new family-based intervention, that the first thing that we need to do is to go to families and listen learn about their priorities and preferences, and work together to design supports that will be feasible to implement and truly impactful. And finally, the actions that we take must reach people with Down syndrome all over the world. And new programs should be flexibly adapted and implemented across settings and languages. And this work requires international partnerships and dialogues. Our team has learned so much through our cross-national collaboration with Down syndrome experts in Italy for our research on executive function interventions. And more recently, we've been honored to collaborate with Dr. Joaquin Espinoza at the Linda Cernick Institute in his Human Trisome Project as we work together to build out a Latin American network, including colleagues in Mexico, Argentina, Brazil, Chile, and Colombia. The more we build universal cross-national elements into our research projects from the outset, the better we can meet the needs of people with Down syndrome and their families, not only in one geographical region, but all over the world. So today, as we commemorate World Down Syndrome Day for 2025, I encourage all of us to consider the ways that we can celebrate people with Down syndrome and their families and the countless gifts that they bring to our communities and to our world. We recognize that the parenting and family experience often brings additional day-to-day demands, but we also recognize that when we, as a community, dedicate ourselves to welcoming all members, the very act of doing so can help us witness the very best of humankind and can model for all of us the compassion for one another that can lead to ultimately to lives of fulfillment, personal growth, and meaning. Today, I honor the countless families that our research team has had the privilege to know over 25 years. And I honor the friendships that my son has been able to build with beloved members of the Down syndrome community. And I am deeply hopeful that we can continue to collaborate as scientists, practitioners, self-advocates, government officials, and citizens of the world to grow together and build an even brighter and better future for people of all abilities and their families. Before I conclude, I would like to take a moment to highlight the pivotal role of the Global Down Syndrome Foundation, who have co-sponsored this remarkable event. Their advocacy has transformed the scientific and clinical landscape for people with Down syndrome and have facilitated major increases in NIH funding for advanced biomedical and treatment work. And they are an incredible resource to members of the Down syndrome community all over the world. Thank you once again for the opportunity to participate in this remarkable event.
Thank you, Deborah. Our next speaker is Misty Coy Snyder. Before we introduce her, we're going to play a video titled Happiness is Down Syndrome. Hold on, if I manage to do it. Here we go.
Three, two, one. Right now it sounds so fun, but it didn't feel that way. You're the one that I prayed for, the one that I waited for. 3, 2, 1. It surely sounds like fun, and I found my way to you. I didn't know what I was supposed to do, but I found my way to you, and I found my way through you. I didn't know what I was supposed to do, but I found my way through you. I didn't know that you could be the one that I longed for. Who could tell that you would be the one open the door. 3, 2, 1. I know you are the one to turn it upside down on the ground. My feet have been planted, this life I've been granted. 3, 2, 1. It surely sounds like fun, and I found my way to you. I didn't know what I was supposed to do, but I found my way to you. 3, 2, 1. I know you are the one.
So welcome, Misty. Misty is an actor, singer, writer, entrepreneur, content creator, and advocate for the disability community. Upon receiving a Down syndrome diagnosis for her second son, she created a worldwide platform called Happiness is Down Syndrome. She is also the creative director for global outreach and advancement for the Down syndrome community at Rod's Heroes, where their mission is to uncover the superpowers of individuals with Down syndrome. She hosts her own podcast called Bold Voices, Soft Hearts, featuring stories of those who have discovered their passion through pain. Welcome, Misty. You have the floor.
Thank you. It is such an honor to be here, and I'm truly overwhelmed to see the beautiful faces in front of me, particularly our self-advocates here and everyone on the panel here. Thank you for having me, CFAM. That video pretty much sums up my story. I wrote that song and created that video. It started with a diagnosis and fear and isolation, and it led to outreach, connection, community, hope, and happiness. As many mothers who receive an unexpected diagnosis, I was terrified. I feared that I would be forever isolated and marginalized as one of those mothers. I didn't have exposure to people with disabilities growing up. I completely othered them without even realizing it. I quietly pitied those who had disabilities and certainly didn't consider myself an advocate. The day I received that cold, removed call from my doctor in 2020 during the pandemic, telling me that my 14-week-old baby in my belly had a 9 of 10 chance of having Down syndrome, I felt like my head had been pushed underwater, like I couldn't breathe. And I remember lying at the bottom of our staircase in a pool of tears. And if I cry now, please don't mistake it for grief. I remember lying at the bottom of our staircase in a pool of tears with my husband holding me. I said, Braden, I cannot do this. What about my life and my career as an actress? What about our older son? I cannot do this. My husband, in his quiet way, said, he is our baby, and we will love him. We can do this. When I think about those moments in 2020 at the bottom of the stairs, I can still taste the fear. I remember feeling like I wanted to escape my own body, and it strikes me that if I felt that way, a woman who believes in the inherent value of every life, a woman who has a husband, access to resources and healthcare, what must it be like for women who do not have all those things? What must it be like for towns and communities and cities and countries and individuals who don't have access to counseling, education, and community support opportunities? I took a weekend to grieve the pregnancy I thought I was having, and I moved fairly quickly into finding my supports and my new reality. I joined a pregnancy group in the Down Syndrome Diagnosis Network, the DSDN, and I made calls to complete strangers, and asked them about their experiences with their children with Down syndrome. And you know what? I quickly learned that not only did these people not say, "I'm sorry," when they heard I was having a baby like their child, they congratulated me. I went from grim faces and low voices in doctors' offices to the loving care from those who were already walking the life ahead of me. They spoke of love and light and laughter. They were honest about the struggles. They kept it real. But I sensed in their voice, dare I say it, happiness. When my son, Jed, was born, who you see up there, he's 4 now, I instantaneously knew what those people were talking about. And I wanted to spread the good news to anyone who would listen. My child is a gift, just the way he is, 47 chromosomes in all. And I got to work on my first advocacy video. I did one before that called Happiness. And I gathered moms and their babies in the Down syndrome community, and I plastered it on YouTube, just praying a mom crying at the bottom of a staircase would see it. I formed a group of 45 plus women from that initial DSDN group in a WhatsApp chat. I created Happiness is Down Syndrome on Instagram and Facebook, which had a very clear vision for me from the beginning, an online support community. And I wanted it to be like a warm hug to anyone visiting the page. Families from all over the world coming on to see families like them, living their lives, sharing their stories, and smiling. I heard from moms in remote villages to big cities in India and Ghana and Romania and Iran and all over the world. People who stumbled across Happiness is Down syndrome and found connection and community where they had had none. Sometimes for the first time. And 4 years later, the page has close to 60,000 people connected all over the world, 36 plus countries, seeing families like theirs in real time. And I think that is a truly valuable thing, and I consider it my mission field and my life's work. This past fall, I had the privilege of going to Armenia with an organization called Rod's Heroes. And we visited orphans with Down syndrome and other disabilities, and we met mothers who parent their children with Down syndrome alone because the shame and the lack of knowledge, resources, and supports separated from their own husbands and families and friends. I connected with mothers and shared my heart as they shared theirs. We didn't speak the same language, but the feeling invoked between us was the same: community, support. And after that incredible life-changing trip, I became the creative director for global outreach and advancement for the Down syndrome community with Rod's Heroes. And there, our mission is to uncover the superpowers of individuals with Down syndrome all over the world on a global scale. And look, we're at the UN. Through Happiness is Down syndrome, Rod's Heroes, and my personal platform with Jedediah, that's his name, my beloved son, beloved of God, that's what it means, Jedediah. I hope to change the scene, and I hope the world can begin to see the secret garden of treasures we have living amongst us. I hope we can pull women off the landing of a staircase and help them solidly stand on their feet. Solid ground for families like mine comes in the form of community, opportunity, inclusion, education, exposure to differences, and the unique abilities that every human on this planet, you and I, have. Solid ground for families like mine looks like books centered on characters with Down syndrome on our bookshelves and in our libraries, a hand to hold when you go to your first IEP meeting, and play dates at the park with accessible equipment. Solid ground looks like finding mentors and friends who have gone before you on this journey that you can look to and ask for advice. Finding faces and spaces where your history in the Down syndrome community is known and understood. It's about moving the me to we. We can do this together. We can show the world one smile at a time, one support page at a time, one advocacy campaign at a time, what Down syndrome is really about. We can show them that happiness is Down syndrome. Thank you.
Thank you, Misty. I think we have a couple of minutes left in order, if somebody would like to ask a question, and I see hands going up right away. So we're going to go down right here on the first row. The lady with the red shirt, if we could, you press the button on the one on the right side. There's a button on the right side that has a, there you go. You have the floor. Please ask your question.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moderator. I'm so pleased to be here. Honestly, I'm so happy.
If you could also introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is Honorable Dr. Florence Gbinige. I'm from Edo State, Nigeria. Yeah, I've served as a commissioner in the ministry that is in charge of Down syndrome, physically challenged, the mentally, and those sorts of people with social vices. And I'm a vice chair to an organization that is handling people with disabilities, of which the Down syndrome is part of it. Like my sister rightly said, for you to have a child with a Down syndrome is like, you know, an outcast in the community. So I really praise her efforts. You know, what she told us she went through, I just praise her, and I thank God for her life and the life of her child. You know, that's a lot. Not everybody could have that opportunity to go through what she did, you know. And I'm happy to be here. Gidi, you are doing so well. Thank you so much. Yes. Yeah, you are a living example. I'm happy, you know, that you are here to stand as an inspiration to others, you know. And thank you, the mother, for your support. Yeah, some mothers will just give up. And they will say, I don't care about this. After all, I have other kids. But you stood by her. Thank you so much, you know. Thank you so much, scientists and the mother there. Thank you so much, you know. We have a program that, you know, we are trying to develop. And it has to do with the Mother Mentor, you know, Mother Mentor Initiative and the Head Start. It's a kind of program whereby you take care of the child while in the womb. That is the first step development of every child. Because a child in the womb has life. And that is where the fundamental development begins. So many people don't take that part of human development seriously. So the program is going to have a kind of enlightenment to people. We are partnering with Nigerian government because it's a US-based organization, you know, United States Embassy for Peace. Yes. So it's, yes, a 501c organization, you know, trying to run in partnership with other countries, you know, but we are focused right now with Nigerian government, you know, and we'll be trying to see how we could partner to help people, you know, because a mother, especially in Africa, a mother that is pregnant, you know, many of them are thrown out of their homes, especially the ones that don't have, that were not married before they became pregnant. You know, they call them all sorts of derogatory names. So some parents just throw them out of the home. So you can imagine how such pregnant woman will grow with her baby in her womb. And these are babies that could come up today, tomorrow and become leaders. You know, you could be carrying the president of a nation. You don't really know. So the development of every child is very key. And the mother mentor is the person that is expected to be taken care of. To be taken care of. Why no video? So the mother mentor is somebody that is carrying the child The mother mentor is somebody that is carrying the tomorrow president, whether a male or a female. So we need to have a kind of, program on ground to take care of them. And if that is done, I don't think the issue of Down syndrome will be so elaborate. Because from the womb, the child will be nurtured. From the womb, thank God for technology. We are advancing every day. So it could be identified that this child could be having this kind of defect. Let's correct it from here, So that is a program that the mother mentor is talking about, and the head count. So by the time the child gets out, that is, the child is delivered by the mother, then the mother still continue. The mother is the first teacher of a child. The mother is the first landlord, of a child. Yes, because carrying the baby in your womb, you are housing the baby. You are supposed to even be paid for that. Yeah, you are taking care of the baby. You are teaching the baby. Babies in the womb, they hear you, just that you can't hear them. You can tell them, look, please stop kicking me, and the baby understands. Mothers know what I'm talking about. Yes, So with this mother mentor program, which United States Embassy for Peace is focusing on, is what we should try to embrace. Because if every government embraces that, it's going to help a lot. I believe that this Down syndrome will be reduced to the barest minimum.
Thank you. I think we have a lot of other questions. Thank you for that intervention.
Yeah.
I think it would be great to have in the future, we should have a whole day event so that we can hear contributions from everywhere and get real experiences from everywhere in the world. I think we could possibly take one more question right here in the second row. If you press the button on the right side, where there you go. Now, you have the floor. Please introduce yourself, and if you have a question.
Okay.
Very short.
Yes, I am Fatoumata Diba from the Gambia. I worked in the field of pediatrics before, and I could relate with when you said that the health workers can do better when they find out that the children have Down syndrome. And thank you to all the phenomenal ladies over there. You're doing extremely well. So I want to know, coming from West Africa, how can we collaborate with you to interpret the stories into our local languages to help our children so that they can be advocates? And you are mainly working in the Americas. Do you have plans to work in Africa? We would want to collaborate because we are struggling with children who have Down syndrome. We don't know the exact numbers, but it is a reality in our countries as well. Thank you. And Gigi and the team, thank you for all you're doing. We really appreciate it.
Do we answer?
Yeah, yes, who would like to take a stab at that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I'm always open to collaboration. The books are being translated into French currently. I have a publisher now. After selling 5,000, then publishers started knocking and not saying that the character is an abomination. So I'm open. Let's have a chat. And we are lucky to be one of Gigi's recipients. My daughter receives literacy lessons from Gigi's virtually once a week. And previously, she received math lessons. So it's accessible, it's making change within our environment, and we hope to be able to grow more on the African continent with Gigi's as well.
Yeah, I think what we found in Africa, so we've been
Please turn on the mic. There you go.
is the access for them to be able to get the computers, the Wi-Fi, all of that stuff. So we've been working on trying to help in that area. So anybody is welcome to please reach out. My email is ngiani@Gigi's Playhouse. Reach out to anybody there, and we would love to see what we can do and how we can help your kids, for sure. I know that girl wanted to say something.
We have a very insistent hand going up here in the front row. That'll be our last question for today.
Thank you. Really quick. First of all, Gigi, thank you for being a voice and inspiration for so many amazing people like you. I have a goddaughter with Down syndrome. We live in Dallas. She's an only child. And my question would be, they are really pushing into private Catholic schools to get in, and they just have closed doors. So now she's starting a new organization called FIRE that I would love to share with you. And what what would advice would you give to her, like to push in the government, to push where? Because she only has been having closed doors in these private schools, and this girl is really the most clever and intelligent person I've met, and she can go to Harvard if she wants to. So where should she knock doors, or where should she make a voice?
We actually are opening in Dallas. So yes, opening probably within a year. The MLB baseball team is actually helping us make that happen. But it was very important for me to have Gigi go to Catholic school because my other kids went to Catholic school. And I have to tell you, and it really goes by the school. So, you know, going to the government, going anywhere else, it really goes by that school. Sister Ann was the principal at the school that she went to, and Sister Ann was a little bit too old and didn't see kids like her being in that school. When a new principal came in, they welcomed her. By then it was too late, you know, it happened for them. But I think it goes by the individual schools in that area and talk to the diocese in Dallas. There has to be somebody there that is going to welcome our kids. I mean, the hardest part for me when Gigi went to Catholic school was that the families didn't want her there in our Catholic school. And that for me has always been a really hard one for me, because it wasn't, they were teaching their kids to stay away from Gigi. You know, she was there, potty trained, reading, doing everything she was supposed to be doing. I would never put her somewhere she didn't belong. And it was the other families that didn't want her, which was really hurtful. But I would definitely talk to diocese. It's a place I'm really interested in. I feel like today is self-fulfilled prophecy. I've been saying I want to get more involved with it in my religion and with Down syndrome, and here we are today. So I would love to help on that point too.
So much of it is proactivity of, you know, that Catholic school may not take them, but go to one that will,
Yes.
and then take pictures, take videos, show the growth, the beauty, everything, and then shove it in their faces. Not in a mean way, but in a way of saying, look what you missed out on. Because that's really what it boils down to. Yeah.
We can help push that forward.
I've been told we have one more question we can take over here on the right, and then we'll give an opportunity to all the panelists to give a final remark.
I think I'm audible. My name is Dr. Medha Somaya. I work with Special Olympics International, and I work for the ID students, which also includes Down syndrome. What my question is very simple, that all over India people are here. So what are the strategies we are applying to get them livelihood? That is rehabilitation. How will they earn their own own bread and butter? So will you able to, anybody from you, will you able to guide us? Because inclusiveness is definitely there, but then too, we are not able to successful in that. So please guide.
Thank you. That's an excellent question. If any of the panelists want to respond, and then everybody has a chance to give some final remarks.
Sure. I'm happy to talk a little bit about the really important growing trend towards what's called inclusive post-secondary higher education. And I think there's something in the U.S. now, it's really an incredible growth that's happened over the past 10 years or so. There's nearly 300 programs at colleges and universities that are welcoming people with an intellectual disability on their campuses and providing pathways to career and technical skills so that the transition to adulthood is meaningful with participation and employment. So I really encourage reaching out. Both there's an organization called Think College, and there are lots and lots of thriving inclusive post-secondary programs. We have one at Colorado State University. If you're interested in learning more, please reach out to me, and I can connect you with lots of other program leaders as well. But this is a critical part of the mission of many universities is to serve as an access for all members of the state for pathways into adulthood that are meaningful and that can provide training into employment, and people with an intellectual disability are now at the center of that as well.
Would anybody, there'll be opportunities if you want to speak after the event, but we have to finish in the next 2 minutes. So if there's an other urgent anything else urgent from the panelists that would like to?
Say one thing really fast. It starts at birth. You can't wait until, they become 16, 17 years old. You have to start those high expectations at birth. You have to get them interested in fitness. Like a diabetic needs insulin, our kids need fitness. That's the therapy that they need to keep their bodies moving. And they need to be constantly challenged, and we need to constantly raise the bar. So to me, it's just always raising that bar higher from the minute that they're born. I tell every brand new parent that comes to us, the harder we are on our kids, the stronger they're going to be. And that's what our programs are about, always being hard on them, really raising the bar. They don't even know. They just step up to the plate. It's amazing what our kids are made of. Amazing. So I'm done. Sorry, I'll turn it off. I'm done.
Okay, well, let's give an applause to the panel and also our sponsors, in particular, the Permanent Mission of Djibouti, and we want to acknowledge especially Youssef, who helped us to organize the event, as well as Lisa, who helped with coordinating. And thank you all, and hope to see you again next year. We plan to have an event like this again.